Isolation and quarantine are two of the most dreaded words in our present world today. But there is a woman in the Bible who was isolated for 12 years, isolated from the world, isolated from society, and isolated from her family and friends due to her illness. Turn with me to Mark chapter 5, verses 25 to 26. Now a certain woman had a flow of blood for 12 years and had suffered many things from many physicians. She had spent all that she had and was no better, but rather grew worse. And to add insult to injury, she was considered unclean. Because in the Jewish custom, if a woman has a discharge of blood for many days that continues beyond her period, she will be considered unclean. Any bed she lies will be unclean. Anything she sits on will be unclean, and anything she touches will be unclean. Mark 5, 27 to 29. When she heard about Jesus, she came behind him in the crowd and touched his garment. For she said that if only I may touch his clothes, I shall be made well. She was weak, tired, and frail, but she bravely pressed forward through the strong crowd, and with her last remaining strength, she desperately reached out to Jesus and just barely touched the hem of his garment. And that was more than enough, because in Mark 5:29, immediately the fountain of her blood was dried up, and she felt in her body that she was healed of the affliction. Instantly, she felt the thrill as of an electric current passing through every fiber of her being. There came over her a sensation of perfect health. She felt in her body that she was healed of that plague. Yes, anything she lies on, anything she sits on, and anything she touches becomes unclean. But this time, she touches the right person, and she was the one who got cleaned, healed, and freed from her illness that trapped her for 12 long years. This is a unique kind of healing. Normally, it's Jesus who touches people and heals them. But this time, it was the woman who touched Jesus and was healed instantly. Mark 5:30 to 31. And Jesus, immediately knowing in himself that power had gone out of him, turned around in the crowd and said, "Who touched my clothes?" His disciples said to him, "You see the crowd pressing against you, and yet you say, 'Who touched me?'" During his ministry here on earth, in a number of occasions, including this particular day, hundreds or even thousands of people pressed toward him and around him, touched him, or brushed shoulders with him as Jesus walked through the crowd. But none of them received a miracle except this woman. Why? Because only a touch of faith could make the healing power of Jesus go out of him. Jesus said that his power had gone out of him. That's what faith can do. Jesus could distinguish the touch of faith from the casual touch of the careless throng. Someone had touched him with a deep purpose and had received an answer. Yes, you may be praying to Jesus. You may be worshiping Jesus or following Jesus, but without faith in Jesus, none of these things will matter to Jesus. Because without faith, it is impossible to please God. Friends, are you bleeding financially? Nothing is coming in. Are you bleeding socially? You feel abandoned, forsaken by family and friends, and it seems that no one cares. Are you bleeding physically? Maybe you're suffering from a physical illness. Are you bleeding spiritually? You're discouraged and hopeless. Are you bleeding emotionally? You feel crushed and heartbroken. It's time for the bleeding to stop. Come to Jesus. Come closer to Him like the woman. Press through the crowd until you reach Jesus. Reach out to Him and receive healing. Mark 5:34. And He said to her, "Daughter, your faith has made you well. Go in peace and be healed of your affliction." Friends, He can heal you. This is Delfred, reminding you to take the Bible as your weapon of choice and keep the faith. And if God is with us, who can be against us? This is Take the Talk.